All right. Okay, here we go. The continuation um, of the Lord's Baltimore, I guess. So I just real quickly just wanted to, as I start this part two, I'm just diving right in. I just took a little break, got a little coffee, and I'm diving right back in. Um, but I thought that connection with the Dune thing, and these houses being chartered to go out and do this specific work, and that it's not exploration, you know, um, so much as it is recovery, that's the main concept behind everything with the mud flood, right? We're we're digging ourselves out of, or someone dug us out of what the remains of what was there before. Um, but there is connections between, I think, with the literature, the fiction of the more modern day, and using that to reinforce the myths that they laid in the past. To reinforce those things. And so that's an interesting concept that came to me, and I'm gonna have to do a video on that because there is a guy from Baltimore, or at least who lived here for a while. He's a very sort of early science fiction writer, and I want to get into how the powers that be use science fiction and fantasy in their control agenda. And I can't believe there's a tie to Baltimore. I didn't think of until this. I was saying when I was making my coffee, I was thinking about that Dune thought, and so that's interesting. There's God, Mud City it's gonna go everywhere. It's gonna be nuts. So anyway, when I dropped off on that one, right, George Calvert here was colonizing Newfoundland and getting a little fed up there. But see, this is the way these things go because I was so deep in the page. It was just before he goes to Newfoundland is when he gets the title. It's when he gets to be Lord Baltimore. And right, so he resigns, right, and he gets to keep his seat on the Privy Council, right, which is amazing considering, like I said, the fact that he was a Catholic. He converted to Catholic so late in life, and Catholics were thought of so poorly. And sorry, that little ding on my phone made me realize I need to start my timer. So let's reset that, because I'm gonna just do this in 30-minute chunks until I'm done, and then I'll just post them and we'll get this thing out and back to the picture taking ASAP, because I'm really itching to get back on the streets. So right, so he gets the contract. Oh, he gets to be Lord Baltimore, right? They call him Baron Baltimore, right? And he maintains his position on the Privy Council, which has got to be the highest council for the king. I gotta believe, right? Only his top advisors are on that, right? He doesn't lose that. He doesn't lose any of his status in the royal court because of switching to Catholicism, and which we discussed a little bit. That's how he grew up, and I have to believe secretly was conspiring with the Catholics, other secret Catholics in the court that whole time. So anyway, they call him Lord Baltimore, which I don't really understand, where the name Baltimore comes from. Right, he was created Baron Baltimore, right? Baron Baltimore of the Peerage of Ireland. So I'm not sure exactly what peerage means. Let's see. It consists of titles of nobility created by English monarchs in their capacity as Lord or King of Ireland. There were 100 titles of peerage. I don't know. I get it seems very prestigious, so I just can't get that deep. So he gets this peerage of Ireland. He was awarded all kinds of land. What was it, 2,300 acres of land in Central Ireland, right? And so I wanted to look at the crest here of Baltimore. Insane. Bring it up now. Here it is. Insane. right? Red and white with the cross, checkered pattern, right? Most of this in here is the current flag of Maryland today. But what are these leopards doing here? Were there Irish leopards? Were there cheetahs in Ireland in the Middle Ages? I don't. Where did the leopards come from? In Baltimore and Ireland, that makes no sense. Just, I don't know, it makes me laugh. So I just think that's crazy, Um, so clearly, there's no understating the importance of George Calvert, right? So he gets he retires from office, right? He gets this baronship, or whatever you call it, right, bestowed upon him. All this land in Ireland. His dad had built that crazy castle, Kilpin was it called, right? And you can't understand. So he gets there. So he gets to Newfoundland, and he's not entirely happy with what's going on there. The French are bothering him, and so he goes back and he says, "Hey, Jimmy, I need. There's stuff going on down south. I'm catching wind from Delaware. These other rich noble lords who decided to leave their cozy castles and huge estates for living on uncharted shoreline in North America. All their comforts of home. Yeah, millionaire type guys. Yeah, they're going. So he's catching wind of the stuff that's going on down south, and you know, uh, he says, I need in on that southern action. And so he gets awarded the province of Maryland, right? But before he can go, he dies, right? And so he gives it to Cecil. Cecil, who's named after the spy master of Queen Elizabeth, Baron Baltimore here's mentor, right? How closely related to the queen, the king, to the royal family can these people be? It's just nuts to me. I wish I had going into all this. I wish I had any understanding about the history of the monarchy in England and Scotland and Ireland and any of it. I really just didn't know that much. I don't know that much. So with the line of the Lord Baltimores, which is why I think I might be able to get through the Lord Baltimores in this installment. You do suffer a little bit from the law of diminishing returns. How could he possibly be as interesting as his dad, who was a spy for the crown, and had his hand in affairs from France and Germany and Spain, right? How do you live up to that, right? But hey, when your dad gets gifted huge chunks of land in Ireland and in Newfoundland, the brand new colonies, and I'm curious now. I haven't never looked into it, but I'm curious about star forts in Ireland. There's got to be some over there. And I wonder if there's any on the property that these people own or owned. So when your father has all that stuff and you just inherit he just inherited all of this land and this property, and I'm going to get to, I hope I'll come across it again. Like I said, I wish I almost feel bad that I don't do too much preparing for this. Like I've talked about that before, but again, it kind of keeps it fun. I just skim ahead. I create a bunch of windows for myself. I look through for checkpoints. Yep, and then see what I can find. All right. So he established and managed the province. He gets it from his dad, who died before he could even get there. Ooh, I wonder what this map is. I never looked at that. See, as everybody knows, there's clues hiding in all of this stuff. And blow up, darn it. It's got to be a map. I can't make it out. That would be amazing if that were a map of Baltimore. See? Anyway, so yeah, he gets it, but he doesn't go over there, right? He sends his brother Leonard, right, named after the grandfather there. He goes, right? So he manages it from Kipling Hall here, right? Who wouldn't want to manage anything from that place, right? And so he stays behind and he sends his brother. But, you know, is there, how much interesting stuff was there in here? Really, so there's a bunch of squabbling that goes on back and forth. He goes to Oxford, but he goes to Trinity, right? The same one that his dad went to, and I think Sir Walter Raleigh maybe went to that one. A couple of people, go to this Trinity or one of the other Oxford colleges that are all connected. I'm not gonna, lead me down a whole nother road if I click on Oxford there, I bet. So he goes, what is Gray's Inn? Look at that. This is this, what do they say for when was this thing built? Did they say? Is it not a building? But oh my God, my heart almost stopped. This looks so much like the factory stuff I see in Baltimore, right? And look, that's not a real door. That's a window. Ugh. There are no doors. There are only windows. And I'm not even sure they were windows. See? Thrown off. So he says it's harder from King Charles from Maryland, who Charles says, hey, you got to name that after my wife, who's French, by the way, more collusion, right? But I wanted there's some squabbling, right? Because the Virginia Company contract has been active over there a few years now, and let's get to my population map, or not map, but my population chart here, right? So this is where we're talking, right? The Virginia Company contract gets there 1610, right? 1609 or whatever. And there's nobody, right? There's nobody there. This chart wants to say 500 people by 1620, and most of them in Virginia, right? And so what happens is Charles says, of course, I know how important your family is. You can have what you want. I'm just going to give you this chunk of the Virginia contract because what's his name? Where was he? That's where he ties back in. He skimmed too much off. He ticked us off. He was robbing us. So we took that charter from him, and now you Baron Baltimore, second Baron of Baltimore, you can have a big chunk of Virginia because Thomas Smith pissed me off. Right? But there were Virginians over there who didn't like that, and they had already settled part of what is now in Maryland today, the Eastern Shore, and so they were like, hey, that's our land. And so there was all kinds of bickering going on in the court. That's mostly what that's what he had to deal with from his cozy castle, the ticked off Virginians. And he's like, I don't care how mad you are. Do you know who my father was? Yeah. And in the end, he wins, I believe. But they just redefine the border. But he gets most of what he wants in Maryland, out of Maryland. See, he was defending the charter from the members of the press, but so this is where I wanted. This is where it gets crazy with the flood connection. I'm sure people saw it because I can't keep from going forward. But the first expeditions he sends over there for his new Maryland colony, right? That was just given to him because why not? Sure, we gave you Newfoundland. We'll give you this too. My dad said there's a star fort over there that I need to get to. And so the first two boats he sends, the Ark and the Dove, right? Flood connection? Are you, no, this stuff is not coincidence, not with Baltimore. It's getting ridiculous. It is getting ridiculous. That brewery has that statue, King Gambrinus. who, legend has it may be, related to Noah, you know, Ark and the dove. I mean, again, what I said in the other video, at what point is it not coincidence anymore, right? At what point? These first two boats that he sends over are the Ark and the Dove, right? And, I just can't get over that. That just, when I first saw that, I don't want to say my hair stood up or anything, but it was like a jaw-dropping thing. It was like, what? That's not coincidence. That's not coincidence. So nice stash. This is Leonard. This is the guy who goes. He doesn't ever get to be a Lord Baltimore because he's not a son, right? The lineage doesn't go to brother, So he never gets to be a Sir Baltimore. But this is Leonard. All right, we're going to move on to him now because he comes over, I think, on one of those boats. So he was, he was the brother. He was second born, maybe, I guess. And that's why he doesn't get the title. I find anything interesting on him in here? I don't remember. So I'll just go through. Yeah, so he's appointed the first governor. All right, first governor of Maryland. This is where the number game gets interesting and with the Calverts and the titles and the things that they tell us about what these people were doing. Okay, he was governor. All right, governor of 500. I mean, how do you govern 500 settlers? Who are creating massive farms. I mean, because I don't know if I'll get into it. I mean, but in one avenue that it took me on when I was looking this stuff up the other day. People when they came over were given massive, tracts of land. They were like 30 acres just for taking the journey. Some of these settlers. And who are these settlers? How much did they pay to get in on this? And was it like, and was it the just the families? Was it just the Calvert family and his, relatives coming over with 225 or 250, laborers? Because they're about to do a whole lot of building, in a short period of time, and the numbers are nuts for, here we are. This is happening in the 1620s, 1630s. Maryland, they list 500 people from Maryland in 1640. And they're saying this stuff is set up in 1633, right? I mean, with 300, so it went up 200 people in 17 years. Did I get that number right? Or 7 years? 200 people, right? I don't know. I mean, they play with, they don't know, right? And they only know what they tell us. And, we only know and understand what we're told, so... so, and especially when you see some of the buildings that are coming up, so they build, the Ark and the Dove comes over, 300 settlers, and there's lots of, they say things about, they set him up as governor. And again, the first session of the General Assembly of Maryland happened, does this say in 1635? This first session? 1635. They had a General Assembly of Maryland. How many people? What were they assembling over? Their farmland? Who's going to help cut down what tree? And, I mean, what General Assembly business, what government was happening among 400 people in 1635? I don't understand. Why do they need these titles? Why are they writing this stuff down this way? This is the smoke screen. The government is the smoke screen. They create these titles because they know that there's going to be people that need to be governed, when the work is done, and they need to create backstories that support what they're putting out there for the future. That's what needs to happen, right? And well, look, he's even seasoned stuff from the Virginians. They don't like each other that much, right? And because he's Catholic too, and I said that this Catholic thing is going to get interesting. And so this Thomas Greeno is a pastor. I'm not going to get into the peripheral people. Like I said, it gets deep with like this the Catholic and the Protestant connection. And so from Leonard, we have to go to the next Baltimore. But anyway, it's interesting. I think that they're laying the groundwork for all this government stuff, but there's only like 500 people there, and they're still taking on all of their cues from what's happening. And let's see, where was? Love that stash on him, man. he rocked it. Barron's Baltimore, and then we need to get to Charles here, all right? Charles Calvert, and this is where the name Charles starts coming in, and how from the third Baron Baltimore, I'm going to stop with him, and then I'm going to do the Calvert one tomorrow. So I'm going to get through the Baltimores today for you in 2 parts, and then I'll do the Charles, the Carroll family starting tomorrow, because I hope I'm not even going to say it now in case it doesn't happen for me. So anyway, he gets it, right? I don't know what was going on in England. Some form of civil war is going on in England, and there's disconnect in the colonies, the Maryland and Virginia one, over the Protestant and Catholicism, because Maryland is supposed to be set up as a refuge for the Catholics. And but let's see. It says arrival in Maryland, right? Let's see. He was born as his mother was Anne Arundel. Anne Arundel County here in Maryland is big. And I could go on with like some of this stuff. These family connections are crazy. So they were Roman Catholics, and they founded Maryland, right? We know we've been over this, right? But where does it talk about? Because I think, oh man, did I lose it? Somewhere they talk about how, I guess I lost it. Or maybe I'll come across it reading real quick. That in the charter, it gives the Calverts universal control over everything in Maryland, from the land, the religion. They are royalty of Maryland, right? They control the whole colony. And so he comes over. He's the first one that ever sets foot over here and says, "All right, I'm here. Yep, Lord Baltimore is in town. This is my city, my city." And yeah, so where was it? God damn it! I didn't mean to say that. I'm sorry. All right, maybe I didn't read it far enough ahead on him, and I don't think I really need to, because really what I want to do is get from, so we've established now that the Calvert family, super important in what's happening in England. How close they were to the crown. Clearly a family of real importance, just gifted all of this land in the New World. And so he's really deep, and maybe I'll get to him. Maybe if I'll discover other stuff about him, because really I'm more anxious now to get through with this stuff, move on to the Carrolls, who are really exciting to me, especially when it comes to falsifying the history of America. It comes into the Carrolls quite a bit, and I'm really excited about that stuff. Those connections to me just they're screaming at me. It's unbelievable. And anyway, so I'm gonna close out the Lord Baltimore family with Charles, who sets foot in Baltimore. You know, he's the first one. What did they say it was? It's 1661. What was the population then? Not that map. 1660. We're looking at. So he comes in 8,400. I mean, that's a small arena. You know, that's not a lot of people. Where do I have the land? All of this land, that 8,400 people. You know, I don't know. None of that connects with me. You know. So anyway, so yes, there we go with the Calverts. You know, their connection to the crown, how much land they were gifted Baltimore. What I believe was really happening over here. I don't know if I believe, but what I'm theorizing was really happening over here, based on the connection with the Star Forts. You know, following the red and white, and the connection to the Virginia and Plymouth companies, and finding all these Star Forts. You know, so next up, the carols, and I'm gonna check my time. If there's enough time, I'm gonna tack the song. No, I'm not. I'm gonna hold off on that song. I was gonna tack on the song that I tried to use for my intro, which will come back once I master how to do that. It may take a while because I don't know what I'm doing. But anyway, so I hope you've been enjoying this. Falcon's Maze sort of journey of the history of Baltimore. Coming up with the carols, we're going to get into some buildings, and I'm going to really be able to roll after that. So thanks for staying with me, guys. I really appreciate it. If you like what's going on over here, please like, share, and subscribe. All this early support has been so overwhelming for me, and I can't thank everyone enough. And so I'm going to keep having fun. I hope you're having fun with me. And so until the next one, cheers, guys.